Well, here we are, another week, another Mando episode, another episode of the Plos Bros podcast.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, another week. Here we are.
We need to be excited, Sam. We need something exciting for the intro.
Maybe next weekend we'll work on like a designated voiceover intro that like we can play, and that fades out into us sitting here and we're just like, hello and welcome. It's like the voiceover I started last week, like in these trying times.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
What you need. I didn't realize it was a reference to the episode when we did it. You know, because like the pilot says, these are trying times.
These are trying times. Welcome back, everyone. Yeah. We are here. Matt's got AirPods that he got for his birthday, so we're looking great. I don't have these like strings coming off of my headphones, so I can move around. I can go and get Lego or whatever I want to show you guys, including another birthday gift that I got, the unnamed mithril. Thank you, Sam, for this wonderful birthday present.
Yep.
I don't know what to say. You just know my taste. You just know what I love from Star Wars, I suppose. But.
Well, and for those of you following my Instagram page, I also drew unnamed mithril and tagged Matt in it on his birthday. Make sure you tag Matt in all your unnamed mithril posts because Matt loves unnamed mithril.
Because it's just my favorite Star Wars character. I love it so much. Least favorite character of the Mandalorian, for those of you who don't know. But
I really hope this character comes back and he is the best character ever.
I hope he does. See. You know what? I will eat my words and love the figure if that's what happens. I'd love it. If he actually delivered some good acting, but Horatio Sands, I'm sorry, you need to level it up if you're going to be in Star Wars. Just saying.
We'll talk about it in a little bit, but I think next week we might be going back to Navarro. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be talking about that.
I have a wonderful theory about next week. So stay to the end, my friends. Join us.
Because today we'll be talking about, as usual, merchandise, Mandalorian this week, and a new book came out, which I will be talking at length about because it's freaking awesome. So stick around because there's a lot of fun show coming up. You ready? Let's talk about some merch. We already talked about the pops that we got this week. Found the mithril. I have one myself. I picked it up at Hot Topic.
So you like to take them out of the box. You like to do the unboxing.
I also got Cara Dune. The boxes just take up so much room. They're really not that hard to dust. And you can pretend like you never took them out of the package. My mind doesn't really hurt. All the boxes are in my closet. So it shouldn't be too hard to rebox them someday if I want to make a giant wall like I live at Hot Topic, you know? So.
Cough, Vic. We have great friends.
We do. People who love Funko Pops. But yeah, and so it was nice. Now that I have Cara Dune, I now have I feel like I have the whole crew. So that was a pretty cool accomplishment to finally get that. But did you get any other cool merch this week?
For my birthday? I got the coolest merch in the world, $1 bill. More than $1 bill. See, for birthdays and holidays, I'm that guy that says, guys, just please give me money. Don't even buy me a card. Just send me the money that you would have paid for a card. It's like $3 to buy a beautiful card, right? I'd rather almost have the $3 and have someone write me something beautiful on a blank piece of paper.
Leave me my birthday money in a paper bag underneath a park bench.
Taped underneath, actually. We do not condone drugs. That's how Sam gets his Lego,
at this point?
So.
We're at this point in the show. It's 10 minutes, not even 5 minutes in, and we're already.
It's not good. It's not good.
Some merch announcements. We got a crap ton of Black Series figures announced. I think 8 or 10 of them here.
Those came out on Mando Monday.
Yeah. There's some really great ones, some really subpar ones, and we'll just kind of walk through them all here real quick and just see what we think. First one is the Remnant Stormtrooper. What do you think about that, Matt?
I like the battle damage look. I really do. I think that it would add something to your collection, especially, I'm obviously assuming that someone who goes and buys these figures cares about action figures, cares about either the way they display or look in some regard, right? So I think if you have other Stormtroopers, this would stand apart from them. It looks cool to be more in an action pose rather than something that's shiny and brand new, especially from Mandalorian, being that this is the remnants of the Empire. These aren't the clean plastic look. What do you think?
They're not really my cup of tea. It would be interesting if they had announced like a Client Black Series figure, because I think like those two, like the Remnant Stormtrooper and the Client, kind of go together. But I don't think we're seeing like in this week's episode, we saw like nice shiny stormtroopers. So I don't think we're seeing really the dirty kind of stormtroopers anymore. So I think that he, like the client, goes with those stormtroopers. So maybe we are getting a Black Series client. I haven't heard any rumors about that.
Yeah. No matter what, you need somebody to be the villain character to fight Mando if you have him in the Black Series. If you're lucky enough to find that character.
I have it saved. I have an alarm set on my clock to buy the deluxe one with removable helmet and the child and all that stuff.
When does that go live?
Target.com, December 1st. Yeah. So
there you go.
Staying up till midnight that night.
All of our followers are going to be battling you for it online, Sam, now that you've revealed the time and date for it. So good luck, everyone. May the odds be ever in your favor.
Yeah. We saw it this last week with the Nebulon B frigate exclusive. People jumped on that and it was gone in 14 minutes.
I missed it. I completely missed it. I didn't even know that it came out.
Yeah, Friday night, I believe it came out. It was live for 14 minutes and it was sold out and hasn't been.
That was Lego.com, right?
And Amazon, I think.
Interesting.
It was either Amazon or Target. Yeah.
Because the Black Widow, what was it called? I don't even remember what it was called. What's the villain?
My mind.
Taskmaster. Taskmaster's Ambush. That set. It was on Amazon first. And then Lego.com sold it separately. Amazon sold out. Lego.com sold out. So maybe this will come back at some point, just like Bespin Dole did. Who knows? So that people like me who forgot about it can go and get one. It's just really important to have, villain characters for action figures, especially if you're going to have that playability factor for a kid who's wanting to battle with his figures. That's all.
And for me, the villain that would be the good villain to have is the next one, Moth Gideon. I think this is out of all of these, this is probably the one I'm gonna pick out. I really love Moth Gideon. I like his look. I mean, he comes with the dark saber and a pistol. I think it's a really great Black Series that we knew, because it was an end of the season reveal with the dark saber. We probably wouldn't be getting it till right about now. It'd be nice to get him. I'm not sure when the release date for these are. I'm guessing it's going to be spring 2021. What do you think about Moth Gideon?
I think he looks great. I don't know if they're still using that facial technology that they're doing on these figures or not. It's hard to tell what each one's going to look like before you actually see it in the store. Sometimes you look at a figure and you're like, that face looks so good when they had it online, and we get to the actual pegs and it does not look like that character whatsoever. The eyeballs printed up here.
Beckett was that one figure I think of all the time. He looks amazing online. You see him in stores now, and there's like 50 of them on the pegs. It's like,
Holdo look great online. I don't know, but like you said, I think this is one of those characters that people are going to be also battling to get. So just like the pop for this figure, you couldn't find it. I feel like this will be the same as Mando was when he came out as a figure. You always want your main hero and villain. I think just having the dark saber with this figure will make it even more valuable.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how they're able to change that and figure out what it's going to be like as far as, in actual plastic form. So
yes,
I guess we'll see soon. Speaking of facial rendering, you and I talked a little bit before we started recording about how Grief Cargo looks. I believe you have a great description for this figure.
Yes, I mentioned to Sam that I think he looked a little pig-like, a little bit Ugnaught-ish. And then I got him confused with Kuil, so we don't know which is which, guys. I'm sorry, but
but if you look, and I would totally get it.
If you look at the figure standing outside of the package and look at the figure inside the package, it looks like two different figures if you're looking at the photo. Who knows? Who knows what you're gonna get? It's Russian roulette.
I think human faces is a tough thing. Like, so you look at like Kuil, and Kuil looks great because you can make that molded alien head, and like I just think for some reason the colors on Kuil look a little off. I think they look a little light to me.
I was thinking the same thing. Yes.
It looks like the paint job. Like did you see, like we talked about a few weeks ago with the vintage collection ones that they released? They're like the smaller 3 3/4 figures, I think. Kind of like the old, like the original Kenner toys, like the way they look.
Yeah.
They're doing that with Mando characters, and that's how the Kuil kind of looks. It's just like yellow and green, and it's just a little off. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I feel about Kuil.
I thought he had more of a dollar look to his costume.
Yeah, and if you look at the pop, like here's the pop, and it's kind of like, it's just like a dark brown. I mean, he's kind of in dark green. I don't really understand kind of where that comes from as far as these action figures we're seeing.
They wanted the artistic flair, Sam. Let's just throw in an orange and green. Yes, quite. He looks great. Fabulous. No, but I think we should have gotten a Lego figure of him. Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed.
Oh yeah, building the Razor Crest. That's all I thought about was, well, this was our one chance to get him, and we didn't. So
I wouldn't say that. Maybe they'll make a Queel farm with blurgs.
our last chance is probably CMFs, is what I'm thinking. But
Probably. Maybe
someday we'll make a video about CMFs.
Maybe that's why they didn't make Queel in that set. Maybe they're gonna have a collectible Lego minifigure.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so those are all the Black Series from Mandalorian, and so we got 3 Clone Wars ones left, and so
Which is crazy.
oh yeah, but I think this is trying to build up hype for the April 2021 Bad Batch series.
Yes.
But
why is Ventress? Why is Ventress? Is Ventress in Bad Batch?
Here we go. Start turning out the rumor mill.
She turns into... Okay, I didn't finish the book, and I don't want to be spoiled. So don't put it in the comments either, people. So let's just say if she dies in the Dark Disciple novel, okay?
It's only been out for 5 years.
I still didn't finish it, though. So I'm sure some of our listeners have not either. So I'm thinking if she dies in that novel, just a thought, maybe she'll come back as a cyborg.
This show is already going to contain enough characters coming back as cyborgs, so let's hold back on Ventress cyborg, because General Veers cyborg is coming.
Maybe she turns into General Grievous. There's nothing you have that I could want. Do you get that reference?
Yeah, ARC Troopers.
Woo! Beautiful. Anyways, Black Series.
So yeah, Hunter and Crosshair. What do you think about those 2 Bad Batch figures?
I think they look great, honestly. Like I said, it's hard to tell face-wise what the mold's going to be when you see it in the store or when you unpackage it. I like it. They're what they are in the show, right? I mean, it's easier to do clone and Stormtrooper.
Are they artistically rendered? Are they artistically rendered? Are they trying to be realistic? Like, are they following the Clone Wars? I forget. I just looked at them before we started, but are they?
I think partially.
Okay.
You know what? I would say more closely they would resemble something more lifelike if I'm looking at it. Ventress for sure. And that's why I like the figure. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I like those figures. And you know what? This sounds terrible, but with these Black Series figures, I almost enjoy the box art from an artistic perspective and the way it looks just as much as the figure. It's just my stupidity maybe, but...
Oh, I love the way you're able to line up the sides of the boxes now with the art on the side. You can make one long mural. That would make me be a collector.
They did that with a comic series. You can put all the comics together. They did that with the one before Rise of Skywalker. It was like Journey to the Rise of Skywalker. I forget what the series was called. It had all the covers that linked up.
Anything else about Black Series figures?
If I was going to get any, I probably won't. I would probably get Hunter and Crosshairs. They're pretty solid.
And I'm a Clone Wars series fan. Coming up, they're gonna be worth quite a bit too.
Exactly. And for us, we grew up with Clone Wars. We're Clone Wars fans.
So there's some Lego Mando leaks this week about an upcoming set. The spring 2020 sets, they're very not exciting. They are making a Lego General Dodonna finally with the X-Wing, which is exciting. I really want a General Dodonna. But other than that, nothing great except for this Mando set. $30. Beskar Mando with the Child and Tusken Raider and a speeder bike, a Tusken Hut, a fire, and a ballista that they use to shoot the Crate Dragon.
For $30, I don't know how many pieces are in it. They haven't released that, I don't believe, in the leaks. But, I mean, it looks fairly reasonable. I don't know how many Tuskens we're getting. I would like 2. They're only showing 1 in the box. I don't know. For $30, I would like 2. But you get the Mando with his Beskar armor.
And the Child, which that would be the cheapest Child set we've gotten so far. So, feel so bad for
and
people
Mando.
who bought 300 Childs and they're trying to sell them on Bricklink for $15 each.
So if another 5 of First Battle Pack comes out and it's $10, I'm going to be very sad.
It is interesting now that you say that, though, looking at a $3 5 of First Battle Pack versus $30 Mando set. $30 with 3 minifigs versus $30 with 6 minifigs. That is very interesting.
Yes. Well, the way I look at it if I was Lego, right, they're not dumb. They know you're going to buy that set. They know you're going to want that Mando figure and the Child, and you're going to buy it no matter how many Tuskens they throw in it. They're smart. They're business. They're business people.
Yeah, but Cobb Vanth, I mean...
Yeah.
My thing is they probably didn't know about Cobb Vanth. I think they probably didn't know about Cobb Vanth. Like, they were told, like, okay, he's going back to Tatooine. They're going to have the ballista. And they didn't tell him what it was for. He's just going to meet some Tuskens. Because on the box art, they're shooting the ballista at the Mando.
I would say that's a fair assessment that they didn't want to have Lego get leaked, so they didn't give them all the details. Because we all know that Lego eventually gets leaked, all the sets for an upcoming wave. But this one was held back. Even that was the ironic part. This was the only set that we didn't get a leaked image of beforehand. I am excited for the Dodana, but I'm probably not going to get very many of those upcoming 2021 wave sets. A lot of people ask me what my thoughts are about this new wave, and for me, it's not really a wave for us. For the people who are just starting to collect, who want those original trilogy vehicles like an X-Wing or a TIE Fighter, this wave is for you. But really, if you already have one of those vehicles, it's really not as much for you.
And that's kind of where I'm at as well. Is I have the Solo TIE Fighter and I have the X-Wing from 2018. Like the Imperial Shuttle does sound interesting to me, but I really want to see what it looks like and see what the general size of it is. It isn't something I'm going to pre-order, and so we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, they had such an exciting wave for more or less like older fans, if anything. Fans of Clone Wars, especially with the 5 Battle Pack and AAT in the last wave. It ebbs and flows. And I think that people need to be okay with not getting Captain Rex and Ahsoka with Jesse in the Y-Wing. Everybody was hung up on that. Everybody's like, we're getting this set. I'm like, who? Who said so?
It's all right. Well, I think we will get it someday, but like 10 years, just wait around. We'll come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Or we'll get CMFs of all the figures that you want, because we really know that you just want those figures and not even the vehicles.
Because who's going to bricklink General Dodana? This guy.
Anywho.
Well, you ready to talk about the episode?
Yeah, it's a doozy. It's going to be a long conversation.
Yeah, I only have 10 bullet points here that we can, I
have about 50.
Some have sub points, so we're all good.
Written down my arm. I'm excited. This is honestly just overview for me, first of all. Not one of my favorite episodes, but amazing to have certain characters return and the mention of others.
And by certain characters, you mean like the AT-AT crane?
That and the Imperial, what's it called? It starts with a G.
Gazani Transport.
Gazani Transport, baby. That one brought a smile on my face. Crane. That was really cool. Yeah, that was a great design.
Yeah, and that was from Solo when he's on Corellia. I didn't realize that those were on there.
I was just going to ask you that. Was that from anything else? So that clears it up. Perfect.
Yeah, which really makes me want to get the AT-AT set that's currently out right now and build a mock. Get 2 of them. Get one for Christmas and build the actual AT-AT, and then buy one for myself with my VIP points and build a crane out of it. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Rip the head off and turn it into something brand new. Even though last podcast you were just saying, oh, Matt, I don't know if I can get that set just because I don't have the space for it. Meanwhile, I'm getting 2 and turning 1 into a crane this week. Beautiful. What'd you get rid of, Sam?
Hey, I'm currently throwing things out of my bedroom window into the yard so I can have room in here.
I need an AT-AT. Ah!
But I saw there's double VIP points coming up next weekend, and like my girlfriend said don't buy anything until Christmas, but I really want those double VIP points. So
yeah, but you might have 2 AT-ATs coming if you're not letting your girlfriend get on hot, so. Speaking of which, I just rewatched the Lego Masters series. That Hoth battle, well done. Even though they weren't judged well enough for it, beautiful Lego creation.
Big fan of all those builders. Anyway, my big overview of it, I thought it was pretty good for the time length that it was. I thought it was pretty solid. I think it felt more of an introduction episode. I'm definitely waiting for it to pay off more in the future, but I think we definitely did just this little mission with Bo-Katan just to find out more who she is and the differences between her and Din, which I think was needed throughout this before we jump into heavy stuff with her.
I think overall, it almost feels like the series has a lot going on a surface level, and then it has a lot going on like an overall story for the like galactic perspective of Star Wars. Rebels was the same way. Rebels was like, here's our cast of characters. We're going to have a fun little story each episode with these characters. And sometimes it's going to intersect with this big overarching stories, which is Star Wars. But this feels more intertwined in a way. And I thought it was done beautifully. And we'll get into it, figuring out who Din really is, what he belonged to, and seeing the interaction with somebody who's of an opposition group was really cool.
I guess kind of just walking through the episode, though, like that crash at the beginning, I laughed so hard when he was landing it. And he's like, okay, we're all good. And then just like the end just goes out and it just falls right in the water. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I loved that when it went in the water.
That's my Star Wars humor. That's what I love to see. And the Mon Calamari is just standing there like,
Oh, the sweater on that Mon Calamari, A plus. The creature design and the creature dress of this episode, I freaking love that doc of those Quarren, the Quarren with a hat on, like just wearing little berets. Like
I wanted to talk about
amazing.
that. Yes, I'm so glad you noticed that. I only noticed that on the second watch. Yes, beautiful. My only issue with the creature design was that Mon Calamari mechanic. And I don't think it was the creature design. I think it was the voice that I had a problem with. For me, it didn't match up. It didn't match up. I don't know why.
I loved how much of a sarcastic he was.
Yeah, I like the character.
And Din hands him the credits. He's like, yeah, do it while you can. He's like, all right, I'll put fuel in it. If it still holds fuel, like a double backhand. It was great. I loved it. So maybe he'll come back too. He'll be a love interest for Pelly.
No. Both mechanics, they can bond over that. He could use some work though, because the way he fixed up that ship in the end was god awful. Once again, I'm left feeling for Mando and all the crap that he's put through. The guy can't catch a break, no matter what he does.
There's just seaweed hanging all over his ship still.
All these nets.
And like all those weird lines. It's like it sat in the water for 2 seconds, but it still has seaweed all over it and looks like it sat in the
Well, no, that's how he repaired it. That's how he repaired the ship, which is so cool to me. And he just let like the ship get infested by these mini kraken creatures.
Oh, that was the very last point. At the end of the episode, what was the point of the crab octopus? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, it was like built up tension. Like, okay, we're leaving this planet. Well, there's this little crab thing coming down from the ceiling, and then the episode ends. It was hard for me to understand.
Well, in the beginning of the episode, Mando says that he's going to get him food, and I think that it just tied the episode together.
Oh, I forgot to say, when we were talking about the crash, did you know that Bryce Dallas Howard directed this episode, and her dad Ron Howard directed Apollo 13? And she mirrored the shots of the Razor Crest coming into the planet crashing to his shots of Apollo 13 coming back to Earth in Apollo 13. And she did it as like a nod, I guess, to her dad. Yeah. I didn't realize that until I read an article about that yesterday.
That's really, really cool. I dig that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, and I like that moment because it was so suspenseful. And then it had that comedic flair at the end, because when the tension all goes away, you need a little laugh to get you on to the next part of the story, which I appreciate.
Which is I think that's people.
Yeah, exactly. More humor. So what did you think about frog people finding love?
Better be more to the story, because I felt nothing about it. It's a cute like reunion moment, but it really just kind of the overall story just kind of fell flat for me.
Well, Sam, I think you're looking at it from the wrong perspective, because the way I see it, welcome to the Plus Bros podcast, my friends, where Sam and I get to happily disagree and then still be friends at the end of each episode. No, but seriously, I liked it because the frog people annoy Mando the whole time, right? They're so frustrating. He can't communicate with them. He doesn't know what they're saying. They're what they are, and he's paying attention to something completely different the whole time. Like, the main mission is what comes first. And then you have these awesome little moments with Baby Yoda watching the little frog egg hatch and grow, and he learns to love the frog people. And this goes back to what you were saying last week, because I was looking out for it. You said that Mando isn't really much of a parent, right?
Oh, yeah.
The frog people have been more of a parent to Baby Yoda than Din has. I'm serious. And I think it's showing that. Fair. I think it's showing that from a story perspective, because they teach him to look at frogs as friends, not food. I mean, he was eating frogs back in chapter 4 when they were on the planet with Cara Dune, taking down that ATST.
That's fair. That is interesting that you bring that up, because I think it is cool that like they should be providing a good example for the child. I just feel like in like the larger sense of the story, well, just hopefully they are something. Maybe they aren't. I don't know, but I'm hoping that I come back to this pair of episodes in the future and have more of a respect for their characters in the overarching story. But right now, week to week, it's just a little bit like, all right, well, he got us to Bo-Katan. Okay, where are we going?
And we, much like Mando, are looking at things much more surface level almost, week to week. When you binge watch something, it's much easier to spot all these little things and the connections that they have throughout the story. But when you're watching it with segments of time in between, it's always harder to pick up on those little motifs. My
Yes.
question to you, why weren't we on Mon Cala? Why couldn't this be Mon Cala?
Well, my canon mind says that what you've read Darth Vader comic more recently than I have. Or this is it the Star Wars line where they go back to Mon Cala? In
Darth
it's
Vader.
either Star Wars. Yeah, when he kills Prince Lee Char or King Lee Char from Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, that is the Star Wars ones. You're right. That is Star Wars.
Yeah.
The old main Star Wars live before it switched over to in between episode 5 and 6. That was between 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
That took place. Yes.
Yeah, and did they liberate Mon Cal? I forget. It's been a while since I read that story. What happened? Was Mon Cal still under Imperial control during that time?
Maybe it was lost. Maybe that's why they couldn't go back. I'm pretty sure Mon Cala was lost. It was also in the Darth Vader comic directly after episode 3. I remember Darth Vader being on Mon Cala with the Inquisitors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you read that one or not.
I know I skimmed through it. I have the volumes of it. I've had other things going on, and yeah,
sure.
So
and
comics are like the least of my.
And I love the comics, and I still have a hard time keeping up with them and reading them and remembering what I read.
Having a release on a weekly basis is tough.
Yeah,
trying to keep up, and even though I love what's going on right now, like in the Darth Vader comic with Sabe and all that stuff, I think that's amazing.
Haven't even gotten there. I wish I could. Haven't even gotten there. I'm too busy with Mando.
I guess going back to Mando, they make the Frogman, as he's in the credits as. He tells him to go to the bar. Like that's what's the point. I was like, you're just gonna tell him to go to the bar? Like if he landed on this planet, first place he would have gone anyways was the bar, or the restaurant or whatever, the inn.
This whole series is a bar crawl. Literally. I'm serious. We started off on Navarro. No, we weren't even on Navarro. It was the ice planet. There were 2 bars in that episode. That first ice planet and then Navarro, both bars. Then was it a restaurant? It was more of a bistro, I would say, for chapter 4.
Oh, where he meets Cara Dune?
Yeah, and then we got the cantina, and then they go back to Navarro. There was no bar in chapter 6.
Yeah, they don't have those on prison ships.
I guess not. They could use
no way. No. Yeah, and then they have the shootout in the bar, and they spend almost the whole episode in the bar in episode 7 and 8. So
chapter 9, we're back on Tatooine in another bar.
Exactly. 2 different bars, I guess.
2 more bars. So wait, so you're telling me you're right. The reason he took Frog Lady to this planet was to find more Mandalorians. She knew there was a covert there, but she didn't know where they were. No wonder he's ticked off.
Yeah, and then he gets there and he's like, oh yeah, go to the bar and just ask them. And it's like, no one even knew where they actually were. How'd you feel about the chowder coming from the ceiling, And those hoses, like...
It was really gross. Like, that's a real problem. Just to have these little squid-like things crawling through your food. How sanitary is that?
Yeah, and then the face hugs
But that was a parenting moment. A lack of a parenting moment. Because you have Mando, don't play with your food. It's not very heartfelt loving. Your parents are supposed to show love and kindness to you, and here, let me help you. I'm so sorry.
When my girlfriend and I watched this together, she said that there was a lot of slurping in this episode and a lot of awkward tentacles that she didn't feel comfortable. Like, it's like, this is really weird. Like, and there's like all these tentacles and all this stuff between the ones in the chowder and then the ones like the Quarren tentacles and
the
like
Mandalorian.
That one scene where Sasha Banks's character has the like tentacle like up her face and she's like slurps it into her mouth.
I got like weird sexual vibes from that scene. I don't know why. She was almost like trying to do it attractively, and nothing about that is attractive. I'm sorry. Sasha, you're a beautiful, attractive young lady, but I don't want to see you slurping your tentacle chowder.
There's another awesome Mon Cal. I love the bartender, waiter guy who has a really cool like scarf. I thought that was a great character design too. In case you all don't know, I'm a real sucker for Mon Cal's. Admiral Akbar is my favorite obscure character next to Obo Rancis.
I think one is definitely more obscure than the other one, Sam. Obo Rancis?
Yeah.
Admiral Akbar.
One has an action figure, Black Series, one doesn't. one should have a black series, but how do you make Opal Rancis's long tail thing? We don't know.
Well, the reason
But-
that Akbar is so recognizable is because he's become a pop culture icon just with one line. It's a trap.
Even though Leia said it first.
True. Very true. It's a trap.
Anyway, and those corn, like I said, look really cool, but them taking him out on that boat, I was very intrigued about that. The first time I watched that on the boat, I thought it had like an open bottom to it. Does the boat have an open bottom to it and they like bring a monster up? Or does the monster live in the boat? Like that was a very intriguing question to me, where that monster came from.
So being from a fishing family, I pictured it as a live well. So there's the boat.
That's what I thought too, yeah.
There's the bottom of the boat, and then there's this like hole in it where there's water in there, and that's where like the fish can like stay alive for a little bit longer. But what did they call it? They called it something.
Korma?
Korma? Is that what they called it?
Not to be confused with the food the Avengers eat at the end of the first Avengers.
Korma.
I saw it, someone spell it out one time, and I haven't seen it since. So
I pictured it as like a mother Quarren, like
yeah,
the Quarren Queen in the bottom of the boat,
like the Geonosian Queen.
Exactly. One other thing that I wanted to point out, Sam, was that last week you said that the Razor Crest is on the boat. It was not true at all.
I mentioned that.
It was going to be in the comments either way, but no,
Yeah.
the Razor Crest was not on the boat.
It was just the helm of the boat. That's where the wheelhouse of the boat was, and I thought it was the Razor Crest. So
hey, it's better than everybody's theory that Sasha Banks was playing Sabine.
Oh, I'm so glad. So glad it wasn't so glad it wasn't Sabine. That would have been so rough.
What I want to know, let's finish up the Korma, the Corn Mother Corn. I immediately was aghast, although I know they can't kill Baby Yoda, right? But even seeing the creature's mouth come up and the teeth on it grab the cradle and it just in time closes is hard to visually take in because you're like, oh no, even though you know nothing's gonna happen. But my mom's looking at it and she's watching it. How's he gonna get out of this one? How is it gonna work? And of course he has to be saved, just like with the X-Wings in the last episode. He has to be saved. I feel like I need more Mando winning the day, but what's interesting that I've noticed is that throughout these episodes something happens and he'll get saved, but he'll also do something like amazing either before or after that. But like something miraculous always happens. There's an equal balance to it. So I'm glad that it's not just everybody saving Mando all the time. They always did that with Ezra in Rebels, and I hated that. There's always, oh, Ezra's the greatest character of all time, but we always save his butt.
Whoa.
I have a problem.
I don't know how to use a
character.
jetpack. Woo.
Just wacky and crazy, guys.
Oh, and I just watched the Heroes of Mandalore episode, the second one, part 2. And with him and Bo-Katan, they're on the ship, and the ship lost all of its weapons. And she's like walking out the back of the ship, and he says something like, "What are you gonna do? We have no weapons." She's like, "As a Mandalorian, I am a weapon." And then she flies out and is like, "That's badass." And he just falls out the back, and he's just like flying around in his jetpack. And she's killing TIE fighters, and he's just like shooting all around trying to figure it. And I was like, he's supposed to be a full-grown Jedi at this point.
We always wanted Ezra to actually be cool at the end of that series, just like Ahsoka is in Clone Wars, but it never happened. And it hurts me. It hurts my soul. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm so glad that Mando can get beat up and be saved. And then he can also do miraculous things like charge the stormtroopers and throw detonators and blow them all up.
Yeah, and he got his ass kicked again there by those Quarren. Like, I didn't know. I thought it was cool. He was using the jetpack underwater. Did you notice that? He was like, when he get knocked down, he was using the jetpack to go back up.
Second time.
Like, oh, that's pretty good. The coolest moment, though, for me is I immediately first watch when the grate opens up and Bo-Katan reaches down to him. I was like, oh my gosh, it's such a parallel to like him being found by Death Watch in season 1 in the flashback. I was like 1-to-1, exactly framed the same way. I really loved that because the flashback was him starting a new chapter in his life, was being found by Death Watch. And I'm hoping that this is like him starting a new chapter being found by Bo-Katan. Hopefully this going forward is something that's, not that's a trope that we need to see, but I think it was just really good mirroring and really good directing, having that shot like that.
I agree completely. Very well done. I didn't pick up on it the first time, You told me, and then when I rewatched it, very well done. Was gonna ask you what was your read on it? Like, what does that mean to the story? And I think you hit the nail on the head, being that it's almost like a new beginning. And I think if he just is going to see Ahsoka at some point, I feel like that will be almost a very important experience for his life and what his next adventure entails, what he learns about himself and the state of the galaxy at this point, because she's a very wise character. And we can save this talk to the end of the episode, or we can discuss it now. But I think that it's going to matter, just as what we learned from Bo-Katan, whatever, however you say it, matters to the legacy of the Darksaber and Moth Gideon and Mandalorians as a people.
What do you think about Bo-Katan's revelation about Mando being part of a cult as a child, like the Watch?
I don't think it was a revelation. I think it was personal experience. She was a part of Death Watch, the Watch. That's what I took from it.
No, I took it as that is a, because didn't she carry down the? Oh, I guess she forms the Night Owls, isn't she?
So she's not even addressing that she was even a part of it. That's what I loved about it too. She doesn't even say I was once a part of them. No, she completely distanced herself from that after Maul took over.
I'd love to see a scene where Bo-Katan talks to him about, because like if you think about it, you look back, like when she was first introduced, she was a hardcore villain, murdering innocent villagers and stuff. And we saw the future. We can talk about Bo-Katan talking to Mando about, I came from this place where I was a cold-blooded killer. I was able to change my ways and do yada yada yada. She'd be a really good
mentor
model
figure
for him as far as totally. So I think this means we need to see a showdown between Bo-Katan and the Armorer.
And that's what I was saying all along in our hype video back in episode 1. I think I mentioned maybe then that she has the horns, the Darth Maul horns on her helmet. She's a part of the other side. Mando is not a good guy, but he is a good guy, but he's come from a dark past that he doesn't even know because he was brainwashed as a kid to be numb to violence in the way that he is and be a part of the way. That's why they keep their helmets on.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't even put that together. I remember talking about it, but like I don't remember. Like, wow. Yeah. That's so true. Yeah.
And this solidifies that to us now because we didn't really know what the Purge meant and what happened after the Purge. Was the Purge what happens on Mandalore and Siege of Mandalore and Clone Wars, or was the Purge after Bo-Katan took over the Darksaber and led Mandalore and the Empire came? How does it all work? We still don't know that completely. We don't have the full timeline. And I think that's a gap we need. And we're going to figure it out. Because I feel like Ahsoka could be that character that explains the history to him. We were talking about that at the hype video too. During the hype video, you were like, they have to do the whole history of the Darksaber again, right? It's either going to be Bo-Katan or Ahsoka. They're both going to have to give him a history lesson if they come back, if Bo-Katan comes back, about what this all actually means, because he's in the dark.
That is interesting to think about, that whole history. Or if Fenn Rau comes back, like we said in the hype video. But
I don't. That's one of those characters that didn't work for me.
I like his armor a lot. I think his helmet's really different. I like that. But other than that,
I agree.
Also, did you know the guy, the male Mando that's with Bo-Katan? His name is Axe Woves, and his character was named by George Lucas. George Lucas was on set that day and named the character.
It makes me so happy. I love that. But okay, why weren't we all so enthralled by Axe Woes? Like, what I'm saying is, we care so much about Sasha Banks. Is she Sabine? Blah 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 blah. Why don't we know more about Axe Woes and the actor who plays him? He's just a nobody. Why do we have to have Sasha Banks come to play this character? Like a named person in WWE or whatever fighting she's involved with. Why do we have to have someone of her stature to come and do that character when we have Axe Woes? They're about the same level, right?
I believe that is, I mean, like we talked about, as a setup. And I think that the reconquest of Mandalore is something that's coming. And I think having her and her fighting style, her ability to fight, I think is something that's going to be really important coming up. To at least, be able to do that and do intense fighting scenes if they're doing, fighting at these big battles or whatever, having her be like a centerpiece. And Katie Sackhoff, who plays Bo-Katan, could probably do the same kind of fighting stuff.
She was wonderful. Can we just talk about how amazing Katie Sackhoff was in this episode and how perfect it was to hear the voice of Bo-Katan and have her be the actress actually acting as her. We didn't have to do any Darth Maul, Sam Witwer.
I'll be honest with you, it's gonna take me a little bit to get used to it. The hair was one of the things that I love the voice. I know the character, and I watched some Clone Wars. I watched some Rebels this week. I like it in the long run, but for right now, it's going to take me a little bit to get used to. I don't know what it is. It's just like that changeover, and I think this Ahsoka is going to be the same way. I'm gonna need a minute to kind of get used to it. You know, I'm just kind of dreading it. But
that's what I was going to say. I don't have the same feeling that you have about Bo-Katan. Okay, I want to make that clear. I really like from the moment she was on the screen, the armor looked beautiful. I was fine with it, and I bought it.
Once she took the helmet off was the only time that I like seeing her face, and like with the armor, I totally bought. Yeah, the way that like with the headband and that stuff was just tough out of animation.
And I think the reason that I bought it was the voice. It's like one of those things where they say if you actually have terrible video quality on YouTube and you have great audio, people will forget that the video quality is as bad as it is, and they'll think that it's higher quality because they'll hear the audio. I've felt the same way, I think, in this moment. And I think that's maybe what did it. And that's what got me used to it immediately. But my problem with if we see it in Ahsoka next week or in the coming weeks, are they going to dub it? Are they going to do the same way they did Sam Witwer and Darth Maul, where we hear the voice of Ashley Eckstein and see Rosario Dawson?
I know you and I have talked about this. I wasn't a huge fan of them bringing Ashley Eckstein back for Ahsoka in Rebels. I think Ashley Eckstein's voice was a little too high-pitched for Ahsoka in that age range. I want Ahsoka to be Rosario Dawson's voice. She's so much older at this point.
I didn't mind in Rebels. I really didn't mind. If you watch Clone Wars Season 1, Clone Wars movie, and then you watch End of Rebels, completely different voice, actually.
Yeah, at the end of Rebels, she doesn't say anything. So yeah, it's about the same. Her staff just makes a noise. Tink.
Her staff.
I love that noise. For some reason, that sound effect is amazing to me. Just that slight tink. Tink. Yeah.
We can get into it since this is the path we're headed downward now, and it's whatever.
Yeah, the only other thing we talk about is the assault on the Imperial ship. So we'll talk about Ahsoka first.
I have a theory about next week. I want to say it now. I don't think we're gonna see Ahsoka next week.
Oh, not at all. I think we're going back to Grief Karga and Cara Dune next week.
I don't know if that's where we're going or not. I don't think we're going to go see Ahsoka.
Carl Weathers is directing next week's episode, and Dave Filoni is directing the week after's episode.
There it is.
Yeah. So I think they're going back because they need unnamed Mithril for some reason to get Ahsoka, because unnamed Mithril was frozen in carbonite, and so was Ahsoka in the Citadel arc. And so they need unnamed Mithril to help them find out the secrets of hibernation sickness to
Star Wars Illuminati, baby. They're all connected. It's all connected. I just picture, we're not seeing like the other side of your room. I just picture this big wall with all these different strings that are connecting these characters to plot points. Carbon freezing, Mithril, and Ahsoka.
Han Solo, dead. Okay, we have to go another way.
It's just one string. But he's not dead at the time of Mando.
Oh yeah, he has a really cool beard, and it's okay. He's still flying over Takodana because I can't beat that level in Battlefront 2.
Actually, next week is just Alden Ehrenreich playing Han Solo, and he's gonna have a full beard. That's the episode.
With the face dub, like the face swap thing. Really shitty with Harrison Ford's face on there. You can see the lines in the side of his face, like as he moves and he talks. Like,
what's that technology called?
Deepfakes.
It's deepfakes. Yes, the one that I sent you was actually really good. Where it's Harrison Ford over Alden Ehrenreich and Solo. That was well done. I loved that. The voice threw me off, but you know, when it comes to Ahsoka, and it's not gonna be the same voice. It's gonna be live action. It's an alien character. It's going to be rough when they do it. But I think they faked everybody out this week. And I told you when we see Ahsoka, I think it is going to be more of a history lesson. We'll see some action, and we got to get some Ahsoka action. They just They can't miss that opportunity right now unless they do it in the future. He needs to learn the history of the Jedi. She's seen Yoda. She knows maybe the species, or maybe it's unknown to her too, just as much as it is to us. And that could be interesting. But he's going to want to leave Yoda there.
I don't think we're going to see him leave the child anywhere.
No, I agree. But what is going to be Ahsoka, her way of getting him to keep him?
She's going to be like, hey, gotta go to the unknown regions and save my bro. And
I think they've already done that. Or do you think we're going to see Sabine? I think they have at this point. I really do.
It's only been 2 years after the Battle of Endor. You think it took them 2 years? Do you think they found Ezra in 2 years?
I think they found him in less time, honestly. Why would they be
on just hanging out?
Maybe. I think it was like a year. I think it took them a year to do it. Here's my question. How does Bo-Katan know where she is?
Part of me, the first time I heard it, I thought, is this another test for Din? Maybe Rex is hanging out there or someone like that is like a wayfinder of like, oh, well, I have contact with Ahsoka, but Ahsoka is out on this thing. Like, it's like Thanos' farm. Like, Rex is just hanging out there, like with a scarecrow with his armor on it. He's just like growing crops and like, the world is at peace. And so he is at peace.
As much as I hate that analogy, I think that's an accurate statement. But it's almost comparable to this episode where Frogman didn't really know where the Mandalorians were, but he knew somebody who might be able to point him there.
Maybe I'm thinking that Bo-Katan knew, like, had been with Ahsoka at that point on that planet. Ahsoka went on her mission, and Bo-Katan just didn't know it because she's out doing unification things.
Or did they meet back up? Did Sabine and her meet back up to, maybe we don't even see Ahsoka this season. It's all a fake out.
I feel so bad for those people who are counting out. Next week's the halfway point of the season.
That's crazy.
We still have 5 more episodes left of the season. There's a lot of stuff in store, and the only stuff we haven't seen out of the trailers is the stuff on Navarro. And I think that's going to be next week, and then we're going to be in unknown territory for the second half of the season.
I would be happy with that, honestly. Like, I don't want to know what's coming next. I don't even want to have an inkling. Like, I enjoy when the story is this secretive. If I'm going to figure it out, I'm going to figure it out. Like, although, we enjoy not knowing what's coming next, Sam, apparently there is a synopsis out for next week.
Take this with a slight grain of salt that it could not be true. It may not be true, but this has been stuff that the last 3 weeks has been right as far as like the one line like that you see on Disney Plus when you go to log into the episode. So this has been right the last 3 weeks. So this lines up with our stuff we're talking about. Carl Weathers comes from Bespin Bulletin.
If you don't want to have any spoilers, skip ahead like a few minutes.
So the synopsis says the Mando joins old allies for a new mission, and it's directed by Carl Weathers. So that's what makes me think that they're going back to Navarro.
Yeah,
I don't know why they need Cara Dune and Greef Karga to go find Ahsoka, but like I said, they need unnamed Mithril. So
I don't think he needs them. I think they need him.
Hello, my friend. As you can see, I'm still alive. And if you're getting this message, you're still alive.
I think it's going to be one of those things. You're going to see a hologram. He's going to be in the ship, bouncing through hyperspace.
I thought they meant like in Guardians of the Galaxy, like dancing the rubber band man or something like that.
Yeah, I hated that effect in that sequence. But no, I think we're going to be bouncing around because the ship doesn't work much better anymore. I think that's what the plot needs. I think the plot needs to fix the Razor Crest. And that's why he needs to get there. Or maybe the Razor Crest breaks down and he's like, the closest is Navarro. I need to repair my ship. And they're like, well, we need you too to go on. I need
Queel, the ghost of Queel. And then he goes and does the Night Sister dance in front of Queel's grave, and zombie Queel comes back.
I don't think we need to see that. I do think that they need to free the planet from the Empire, and it draws back in the idea of Moth Gideon realizing where the Baby Yoda is and coming after Mando. They never told him in the episode who was there, that it was Mandalorians, right?
You mean in the covert?
No, they never told him in this episode in chapter 11.
Well, it sounded like he knew what they were though, because he said,
that's what I was wondering.
Pirates as before. Like, he said, are those?
So he knows it's Bo-Katan, his arch nemesis. That's the way I look at it, because what he stole it from her and she wants it back. I'm excited for that, honestly, as a plot point, Having them at odds with each other, I dig that because I love Bo-Katan as a character, and I think that Giancarlo Esposito does an amazing job with what we've seen so far from Moth Gideon, and I want to see those two go at it. I think that would be a great duel.
Mm-hmm.
Not like that, Sam. Bad.
Please cut this. Please cut that.
No,
out.
this is not being cut out.
Please,
You
no.
did this. You did this. You did this, Sam.
No, I didn't.
Shame.
No. We have a lot of show to get through. Let's talk one more about the Imperial transport. I love that Imperial captain guy. And my favorite scene on the transport.
Who was that actor?
Apparently he's from Lost. Heard it. He played the Man in Black on Lost. But
that was it? I thought he was in something else. He looked so familiar.
I forgot to IMDb him before this. I was busy. What else was I? Oh, I was IMDbing the name of the Mando guy, and I forgot about this guy.
Tisk. He looked very recognizable. He did a great job.
Oh yeah, I think he did too. And I think he was intimidating. The part I absolutely loved was when they lock them in the cargo control area and launch them. Oh, once again, just rolling around because I was like, oh my gosh, perfect humor. It's like the noise of them just flying out of the back over the comlink.
I agree.
A+.
I mean, that's Imperial humor. They know they suck, right? They know they're a bunch of buffoons who can't hit anything. Everybody knows that with a blaster. But whoa, are we good? My power just flickered. It's the ghost of Queel.
If your power goes out, this would be a really fun episode.
Oh yeah. No, but I thought that is he a captain? He's just an officer, I guess.
Oh, you're talking about the guy that has the shock tooth?
Yes.
He's just an officer, yeah.
He did a phenomenal job. I thought that it was awesome Nazi post-World War II, Captain America 1.
I hope Cassian's like this, though.
Spy drama.
Yeah. I'm hoping like that with a Star Wars flair to it. Like that's what I really felt like. I mean, I love Rogue One. I'm going to love Cassian, I think, either way. I'm hoping the show's like this.
Yeah, and that was, for me, more expected, I suppose. Like when he started shooting the pilots and taking the ship down, I'm like, he's going to end up killing himself. It's rough to see a character like that. And I would have frankly liked to seen him in another episode. I thought the actor did great. Like he made a great Imperial officer.
He definitely had what it took to be like the scowling kind of.
Yeah, and to know that he's more elite than the people under him. That's very typical Imperial mindset. Mm. What I also was wondering, maybe you have an answer to this. Why were they on this planet?
I took it as it was just like a trading hub. That's just where they pick up supplies. Moff Gideon grew up in like Boston, so he really needs chowder and his import of Mon Cala sweaters. And so that's why they have to like get all that stuff shipped in. Moff Gideon's grandma is too busy doing other evil stuff. And so she can't knit him sweaters. So he has to get Mon Cala knitted sweaters.
And a little hat from the Quarren.
Exactly.
I was just wondering, like, because they said they had ships going from here multiple times and they've been doing this. It felt like this wasn't the first time. And then they had the mention of meeting back up with the fleet. I feel like Moff Gideon does have his own Star Destroyers then.
Yeah, like a super Star Destroyer I think would be ideal.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll know that until maybe the end of the season, potentially. And I think that's why we never saw Moff Gideon in these trailers, is because they didn't want to show too much of the season. They just wanted to show the first 4 or 5 episodes worth of clips, and then having that be towards the end where we actually get to see more of Moff Gideon. I think he's going to start tracking down Mando at a certain point. It doesn't feel like he is already, I suppose. We don't have any fear of threat from the Empire at this point, but I would assume that he's not too happy that Mando crashed his TIE fighter and got away with the child.
I feel like that's a pretty good assumption to guessing what his motives are, at least going into this season.
I'm just surprised he doesn't try to handle Bo-Katan. If you know she's still around and she's after him, why don't you just go after her and take her out?
Maybe she's been in hiding, just trying to like gather her forces, and she's been crushed now twice, hasn't she?
And her goal is to rebuild Mandalore completely. Didn't they even say they want to pick a new planet or something?
Yeah, because Mandalore itself is cursed, they said. So
they said that in the episode?
Yeah, Din says the planet itself is cursed. Like that's what the teachings of the way told them.
Wow. So that adds another level to it as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think that's most of the episode. We talked about the next week. We talked about the Imperial Transport, Bo-Katan. Anything else for the good of the order before we get into this awesome book?
Forgot about that.
Well, folks, this week, from a certain point of view, book 2, The Empire Strikes Back, came out this week. I've been binge reading it, trying to finish it. It's an 18-hour long audiobook, 20-hour long audiobook that I've been listening to all the time. It's 40 short stories for the 40th anniversary of the Empire Strikes Back. And in case you don't know about this book series, they bring all these authors together to write short stories about characters that aren't the main characters. For example, last year we got short stories from like Bail Organa on Alderaan when he got back from the events of Rogue One and talking about like setting up and like getting his people prepared, and then he sees the Death Star arrive and him and his wife hug each other before the Death Star blows up Alderaan. So like that was one of my favorite stories. Or like Captain Antilles on the Tantive 4.
My favorite was Obi-Wan and Yoda talking about Leia and Luke, because Obi-Wan was the one that wanted Luke to be the one that goes and fights Vader, and Yoda wanted it to be Leia because he thought that she was a stronger, more able-bodied individual capable of leading. And they were going at it with each other through the Force, talking about this.
And it was really cool because that actually comes back up in this book. In the Yoda chapter, he talks about how Yoda, like he's like sitting outside of his hut. He feels something coming, something arriving. Luke crash lands. And he's like, oh man, it's this boy. Like I wanted the girl. And so his first interaction with Luke is like his first test. And that's what the whole chapter's called. I think it's like the first test or something like that, or the first lesson. So I guess mirroring like Luke in The Last Jedi, like the 3-lesson thing. That was a really interesting chapter, just kind of following up with that chapter you just mentioned from the first book.
Yeah, and that's really cool to see the connections between that. And original trilogy fans, and even my mom, when we went to watch Empire Strikes Back in the theater once again, when it came back out for the 40th anniversary, she was nudging me in the theater, was like, why does he do that? Why does he act like a crazy old man? And then he immediately turns around. And I explained it to her in that way, like you kind of just did. It's more of a test.
And that's what's really cool. I love this like point of view that we can get kind of just more in depth for those of us who want the complete story. And if you don't want the complete story, you don't have to read this book. But for those of us who are completionists like me, and mostly like you too, you can get all the story and all the background. And this year they've just gone above and beyond on animals from the story. There's a story on the Wampa, the Tauntaun, the dragon snake that swallows R2, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the Wampa story is amazing. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but the Wampa story, it is.
I was like, just walking home after a long day at work, and this guy was there, and I got really scared, so I hit him. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. There's this really old cartoon animation on StarWars.com. I don't know if it's still there or not. I remember watching it when I was a kid, of how the Wampa ended up bringing Luke back, and it was just all this mistake that he didn't mean to do, and he wanted to tell him he was sorry. It's a great animation. Wonderful.
Well, this one completely decanonizes that, so I'm sorry. So he's out hunting for his wife and cubs, and they live in like what becomes Echo Base, but he leaves to go hunt Tauntauns and bring them back to his family. And so he kills 2 Tauntauns and comes back, and the rebels have taken over their cave and are making it into Echo Base. And he loses his wife and like kids, so he can't find them. And so he starts killing rebels, and he gets shot. And so he like has to go back out in the snow, and he starts like just wandering around, not knowing what to do, trying to find his family. And so he goes on this like revenge mission to like try to kill the rebels, to try to like get them out of his home so he can like rebuild his home and find his wife and kids. And so he finds Luke and the Tauntaun, kills them. He needs to eat the Tauntaun to get energy. I always wondered how Luke got his feet stuck in the ceiling, and it turns out that the Wampa breathes on the ceiling to melt the ice, and then licks Luke's feet and sticks them to the thing and then holds them there until it freezes. It was amazing. It completely answered that question I've had for my whole life since I've seen The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, I'm sorry. I like that you're happy with this answer. But personally, I think the best answers should always beg more questions. I don't feel like that answer does it for me. And I think because of that, I feel like that question doesn't need answering.
Oh, it always needed answered for me. And that's what I was like, I don't care what kind of answer it was. That was the answer. But anyway, he just doesn't know what's going on, and he's just kind of done with it. And Luke cuts off his arm, and he survives. He ends up going back to Echo Base. He gets so mad, and it builds up so much rage and anger. And he crests the ridge and finds out that they're all gone. And so he goes back, and he's just wandering through the base. And he is able to make the base his home again. At the end, he is looking for his family and he has hope once again.
But aren't they
Yeah,
dead?
no, they just went missing. He couldn't find them. Like he could smell them, but he didn't know where they were. So
does this canonize the deleted scene in
so
Empire Strikes Back with C-3PO and the Wampas? I feel like it does.
hopefully it does. Yeah, but it didn't directly talk about that. But yeah.
Wait,
So
Star Wars
go ahead.
Galaxy of Adventures or whatever it's called. Heroes. What's the Forces of Destiny? Remember the episode with Princess Leia and Chewie and the Wampa in the cave?
I don't, but go ahead.
That's his wife.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think now, yeah.
The
Yeah.
cartoon on YouTube?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was trying to remember exactly the episode, but yeah. At first, I was thinking about not Galaxy of Adventures. What was the one before that? The one with the female.
It's not Galaxy. It's Forces of Destiny is what I'm referring.
Oh, that's
to.
the one that like does like a different female character every. Oh yeah.
Yes.
And
then it turned into not just female. It turned into like other characters like Luke and Yoda.
Yeah, with that really weird animation. But
yeah, I don't know where that direction was going with it, but I don't think they knew either. Anyways, next story.
Chase Wilzor. Do you know who that is, Matt?
First of all, I feel like I'm sitting in my bed waiting for a bedtime story from Sam, and I want him to come over to my house every night to read me a new Star Wars certain point of view for 40 nights in a row.
And by then we'll have a new book.
And the Tauntaun was eaten by the Wampa. He was very happy because he had more energy now.
The one about the Tauntaun who dies, Han's Tauntaun who dies, talks about how she just gives her life to make Luke warm. Like she feels that like
she froze to death.
Okay, we're not gonna talk about that one. We're gonna talk about Chase Wilzor, who is the guy who walks between Han and Leia when they're arguing in the hallway. It is the best. I thought I was gonna hate this chapter, and
why do you like this book?
Because I'm a completionist.
Sam, they're ruining the movie.
No, it is so good. He is this guy who hates his job. He works in the kitchen, carving potatoes all the time. He wants to be on guard duty, but he was clumsy and messed up the equipment and stuff. And so he wants to go on guard duty, but his crush works in the Tauntaun stables. Like he has to deliver food and stuff through these tunnels. And because he helped make them, he knows them all by heart. And so he is like delivering stuff, and he like meets his crush, and he like is awkward talking to them. Then during the battle, he goes back and he starts rescuing people like Forrest Gump, like rescuing people and bringing them back to the ship because he memorized the tunnels. He's the only one who knows how to get to the tunnels. So he saves the doctor and he saves all these soldiers. And finally he realizes I'm right next to Tauntaun things and my crush didn't make it to the ship. So he goes and he finds them, and then they ride a Tauntaun all the way back through the hallways and like barely get on the ship. And then he uses the line that Han said, and he said, "You deserve a good kiss." And it's like he's able to break the ice because he was so brave and all this stuff.
It was break the ice. Wait, here's my question though. Wait, Sam, you realize that this character walked past Han and Leia before Han said that line, right?
No. Yeah, but it was like he was still in at earshot.
Was he?
I just watched the movie, yeah.
Snow absorbs sound.
We're not arguing about this.
Here's just, I want you to know, I'm happy that you're happy, but I don't need these stories to answer my questions. It ruins the magic of the movie for me, I think.
So there's two more that I'm going to talk about tonight.
Okay.
The next one is General Veers, which I think is a question that I thought was something that was super awesome. Something that I texted you as soon as I heard it. I pulled over on the side of the road and texted you.
You were very happy about this.
Yes. General Veers, it talks about how he doesn't want to disobey Lord Vader, and he does all this stuff. And so it goes through his whole storyline in the movie. And there's a deleted scene. If you go on Disney Plus, you can watch the deleted scene where his AT-AT gets hit right in the head by a crashing snowsphere. Yes. And so that happens. They canonize that happened. But Veers wakes up. Like I thought when it hit it, I thought, okay, chapter's over. And then he wakes up in the snow and he hears the troopers all around him, and they're like telling him, "You need to stay with us." And he uses his rage and his need to please Darth Vader, his like need to serve the Empire, to keep him alive. That's until the med troopers get there and they save him. He keeps noting about how he can't feel his legs. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to get Spider Legs General Veers and the Mandalorian.
Sam, I hate to tell you, I really don't think we're going to see that in the Mandalorian.
That's a joke. No, I do think, but the actor is still alive.
Ever again. The actor's still alive?
Yeah, Julian Glover. The actor's still alive. He was in Game of Thrones. I think if they could bring Julian Glover back to play General Veers in some capacity, it would be amazing. Like as part of the Imperial Remnant or whatever. And I know there's a guy out there. I think his Twitter handle is Veers Watch, and he's obsessed with General Veers. So it's just cool to have him, like, you know, just to give him hope for his character. But
okay, but here's my question, Sam. Do you really think that Dave Filoni is reading and caring? Well, I guess they cared about Aftermath. Okay. Maybe that's the finale. We realize that the bad guy really isn't Moth Gideon. It's just General Veers the whole time.
They go back to the planet where they were in episode 4, chapter 4. All the villagers have been killed. The whole village is on fire. General Veers walks out with his 2 robot legs. He's like, you know what kept me alive was my pure hatred for the rebellion. And it's
fueled by my singular hatred for Wampas and Han.
It's like poetry. It rhymes. The last one that I want to talk about is the Emperor. So how he finds out who Luke is and why Luke is a threat to him, which was super interesting to me.
Is it before episode 5? Okay, good.
It's before his transmission to Vader.
Good. So like canonically it has to be.
Yes. And so he is in his meditation chamber underneath the Jedi Temple, and he's having this vision. He's in Vader's dream, and Vader is watching Luke kill the Emperor. They go back to Padme's apartment. They're as a family again. And Palpatine is in Vader's body and turns around, looks in the reflection. So Vader's dreaming about his like Clone Wars body with Luke and Padme. Like Vader and Luke are rolling the galaxy together, and they're like standing on the veranda looking up in Padme's apartment at all the Star Destroyers in the sky of Coruscant. And then he's like, this is our empire together. That's how Palpatine realizes that Vader is trying to get Luke, his son.
So Palpatine invaded Vader's dream. I'm glad nobody can do that to me. That would be weird.
Yeah. And so that's how he finds out, because in the Darth Vader comics, that's the Afra, he finds out like that Luke's his son. That's really cool, like how Palpatine finds out about Luke's place in all of this.
It was a question that we really did need answered.
Yeah, and he just always, like in the beginning, he just thinks he's just a rebel pilot, and then he realizes like there's something more to him. With like Vader, you know. Bonus one, you find out the story of the bridge crew who gets smashed by the asteroid, which was a really good one, and the Exogorth, the giant worm. She just wants Han and Leia to stay in her belly forever. The Minox are her children, and she's really proud of them. And she was going to make an environment for them to survive in, and like she was making oxygen in her body because she wanted Han and Leia to stay in there forever, and like. She was jealous because the other Exogorths have had communities inside them, and she didn't. So, yeah. Couldn't make this up if I tried.
You ruined the movie, Sam. I can never watch Empire Strikes Back again. And that's like my favorite Star Wars film. So, way to go.
There are 35 other stories, folks. And if you want to hear more of them, let me know in the comments. But speaking of the comment section, it has been awesome. I missed the live premiere last week. I was live chatting with some people in the chat. I've been trying to answer comments and questions in the comment section, and Matt has as well. We really appreciate all of your feedback. We're going to get to the point now where we're going to answer a listener question real quick before we wrap things up. So, Matt, take it away with the listener question.
Already from Tony's amazing channel. What's your favorite Lego game? Sam, what's your favorite Lego game?
So I do have a special place in my heart for the original 2 Lego Star Wars games. I had mine for PlayStation 2, but my favorite Lego game is probably Lego Indiana Jones. It's the only Lego game I played to 100%. I had the book, like the manual that I bought. I just love that game for some reason. It's just like, it's an amazing game. And I think Lego Indiana Jones is a Lego theme that they should really consider bringing back. Like with all the new molds and all the new techniques of building, I think it would be an awesome update to like what we had back in the day when we were kids.
Well, when we get that Chris Pratt movie as Indiana Jones,
they recast Shia LaBeouf as Chris Pratt.
No, I don't know what they're doing. Wasn't there a rumor that they're going to use Chris Pratt to play Indiana Jones? I swear there's been rumors of Chris Pratt playing everybody in every movie series. I want Chris Pratt to play the woman, the elderly woman, not the younger one, the elderly woman from Titanic, and drop that gem into the ocean. I hate that scene. I think Chris Pratt can make it better.
There's actually an alternate ending. Did you know that? There's an alternate ending to that movie.
Is there really?
Look it up. Yeah, there's an alternate ending where all the other characters on the boat follow her out to the back of the boat, and they corner her on the back of the boat. And she holds the crystal over the water, and they're like, no. They're like, can I at least hold it? And she like lets the researcher guy touch it once before she throws it off the boat.
Luke Skywalker style. Luke Skywalker style.
I can't even remember. It's been a while since I saw it, but that there is an alternate ending to that movie where she isn't by herself on the back of the boat, and it's like a dramatic scene at the very end of the movie, and it kind of ruins the whole vibe of her like dream or dying or whatever. What happens at the end? Did you all know that you were going to be getting into a Titanic podcast here? Because it's my other passion in life.
Iceberg, there's an iceberg. I think honestly, you did a fake out. You said that's your favorite Lego game, but my favorite Lego game really is the original Lego Star Wars game for PlayStation 2, although I originally had it for the Game Boy Advanced SP. Let me tell you a story, ladies and gentlemen. When I started getting into Lego, I looked at the back cover of my very first Lego set. I knew at that point how much I loved it before I even really got into it. So I got it was the back of the instruction manual for this ATRT from 2005, Revenge of the Sith. Wow, really brings me back. But back of the instruction manual had the advertisement for the Lego game, right? And it said Game Boy, it said PlayStation 2, Xbox, all these different game consoles, right? So I had the Game Boy Advance SP. I was like, oh, perfect. I got to get this game. So I got the game for it, and it was a big letdown. I didn't realize that the graphics for that game would be less than the PlayStation 2 or other game systems because it's the Game Boy Advanced SP, and they even have different music for all of the different levels. It was a big letdown, even though I love playing the game and I could take it anywhere with me. Then I bought a PlayStation 2 just to play that game. Literally just for that game. I actually bought the game for the PlayStation 2 and went over to the neighbor's house because he had a PlayStation 2 and I played it on his first, and then I had to buy my own. That's the level of dedication we're talking about to Lego Star Wars 1. So, yes, that is my favorite game because I have so many memories with it.
I remember I played all the games I could on PlayStation 2. So that would have been the original 2 Lego Star Wars games, Lego Indiana Jones, and then Lego Batman. I think the original Lego Batman game. I have a lot of fond memories of that. I still have the Lego Batman poster on the inside of my closet door.
Those were good times. Those were really good times. I had to get the Wii to play Lego Star Wars 3, and then it never worked on the Wii. It would just freeze.
I can still remember,
I was so upset.
I remember trying to play like as Qui-Gon in the first level, and like it's like trying to do like the nunchuck with the controller, and it was like nope. Okay, well, good thing I'm never gonna. And I never played anything more, and I felt so
I'm talking because my game stopped on the second chapter of episode 1 when you're like jumping as Jar Jar up the first like big thing on Naboo. My game, every time I hit that point in the level, it just froze, and you just heard a buzzing noise. It was like, bang, bang, and the game stopped. And then I bought another copy of the game because I thought it was the game, right? It doesn't make sense that it would just happen with the Wii in this game only on that level. Bought another game, took that game back, still didn't work. It still did not work. So my Wii was the only Wii out there that would not play this game. And I was so upset. I had to get it for the DS. It was the only way I could play Lego Star Wars 3 The Complete Saga. So upset. But I really am excited for the ultimate Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga coming 2021. Already have it pre-ordered at GameStop.
And I will be watching you play that like I did Squadrons because
I'm thinking we're live streaming this one, Sam. We're live streaming this one.
Welcome to our Twitch channel.
No, we're going to do it on YouTube. We're going to do it on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to figure out what live streams are to begin with.
We'll have fun. We'll have fun with it for sure. But yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and so if you have any more questions, like we said, we're going to be answering one question a week here on the show, at least for now. So leave your questions in the comment section. Check us out below. We'd love to have a conversation with you. You can check me out on Instagram at SG Sketches and Stuff.
Go check out Sam. Go check me out on TikTok, Instagram, and of course YouTube, where you are right now, all under the same name, Matt Mellish.
All that stuff's in the description down below. But Matt, anything else for today?
I think I'm good. I think, a lot happened this week in the Star Wars world, and I think that time will tell what happens next. We are just entering the beginning of Mandalorian glory that we have coming in the near future. The upcoming
Yep.
weeks are going to be crazy, dude. Who knows what's coming next? If they fake us out again and we don't get Ahsoka, I would laugh. I genuinely don't think it's going to be next week like we talked about, but I'm excited for the future of the show. Any final thoughts for you?
I think we've talked about quite a bit tonight, and check back next week and we'll hear some more stories about what happened in A Certain Point of View Strikes Back.
No! All right. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. Come back next week for whatever we do. And may the Force be with you always.
Bye, friends.